Hello fellow man cubs, I have returned, and it's time to get your groove on.
Yes, there's a Jungle Book game for PlayStation, but it's not the run-of-the-mill Disney action-adventure platformer we're all familiar with.
Ooh, yay!
No, instead, this is a dance game.
Oh no.
Indeed, the Jungle Book Groove Party, otherwise known as the Jungle Book Rhythm and Groove, follows the events of Disney's 1967 classic, The Jungle Book.
Through dance!
Look for the bare necessity, the simple bare necessity.
If you don't have access to a dance mat, this game is more than a little underwhelming. I don't feel like I'm getting the full picture here.
Well, my home is in the jungle, and although I am quite humble, I am not just another pussycat.
Well, this sucks. So you know what? I decided this game calls for a different approach. Yes, that's right! I'm gonna be making an ass of myself on the internet. Bring it on!
Now, just so you're aware, dance games are not exactly my forte. Let's just say I have two left feet. That said, a few of the characters in this game quite literally do too, so maybe I'm in with a chance. From its title alone, the Jungle Book Groove Party sounds as though it might be an abomination.
Going into this blind, this game could well be unbearably bad. But perhaps you shouldn't judge this book by its cover.
As with some previous games I've covered, this was released on more than one PlayStation console. As such, I'll be using clips from both the PS1 and PS2 versions of the game. They are very similar, with only some minor differences, and although I think it's easy enough to tell which is which based on the graphics alone, the PS1 clips will be represented by this icon, while the PS2 clips will be represented by this one.
Get it? Got it? Good.
So before we get to the main game, there's a short tutorial video you can watch, which takes you through all the basics you need to know.
I mean, we're literally just pressing the buttons we see on screen. If you need help, I think you really need help.
This tutorial is actually pretty amusing though. These people just burst into this kid's house completely unannounced. I mean, like, hello? Who are you? What are you doing here?
Stranger danger! Stranger danger!
Get the fuck out of my house!
Feel the music, rely on your ears, and not just your eyes.
Judging by the cascade of buttons here, I'm assuming they're playing on expert mode or something. Because in easy mode, well...
You may think we're the same. You may think it's all a game. You may think that it's all only fun and joy.
Are we feeling groovy yet?
As you can tell, there's a major distinction between difficulty modes.
Look for the bare necessity, the simple bare necessity.
Now, in the PS1 game, you can only unlock the crazy difficulty mode after having completed expert mode first, whereas in the PS2 game, crazy mode is readily available from the outset. And trust me, crazy is the word.
Crazy.
Look at this! This is crazy! But see? I told you it was the word. These guys make it look so easy.
Keep on playing and you'll be dancing like this in no time.
What also makes me laugh is that this kid becomes an expert pretty much immediately as he's done watching the instructors.
Are you ready? So let's dance!
Meanwhile, in real life...
Hey, I did it! I'm really good!
The cutscenes basically retell the plot of the movie, only it's notably condensed, and several of the characters are a little cockeyed. Really, their eyes aren't focused, it's really bloody weird. Most of the voice acting is of a decent quality, and they got a fairly decent Phil Harris impersonator.
Well now, ha ha, what a funny little thing this is.
Leave me alone!
Oh!
I mean, he's a little wooden, but I think he suits the role of Baloo better than John Goodman did in The Jungle Book 2.
Anything for my little britches.
Not that he did a bad job by any means, I just always felt that his voice lacked that special something, that smoothness required for the role.
Hey, Papa Bear! I like being a bear!
Meanwhile, Mowgli is played by the kid who played Richie Crawford in Family Matters, which I've never actually seen myself, but it seems to me he got his voiceover role based purely on his credentials and not his vocal talent. I mean, no disrespect, of course, but for some reason they picked the most irritating, whiny-sounding boy to play the lead character.
I'm not afraid. I want to stay in the jungle.
Seriously, in terms of annoying kids, he's almost as irritating as that kid from the Polar Express.
You know what kind of train this is?
Yeah, okay, that's an exaggeration. That level of annoyingness really takes some beating.
But Mowgli is annoying nonetheless.
I want to stay in the jungle.
Mate, I'd pay you to stay there.
It doesn't help that he comes across as so self-assured and cocky all the time.
I was perfect. I'm the best.
Ugh, don't you just want to punch him? Still, with a voice like that, I suppose we're fortunate he has no musical numbers.
Speaking of which, it might surprise you to find that most of the songs in this game are completely original. And this is actually very commendable, considering the majority of songs here are surprisingly catchy. The first song of the game is performed by Bagheera, and while I don't think it's especially bad, it's frankly quite bizarre.
There's trouble in the jungle, and sometimes everybody fumbles. But when I fall, I don't get carried away.
It's such a weird, ill-fitting little song, and it's like some kind of weird semi-rap.
There are things I do believe in, and there are things I don't
Totally
believe in.
unbelievable.
The line is sometimes fine between right and wrong.
For a Black Panther, this guy's the whitest rapper I've ever heard.
Something worth noting is that instrumental versions of these songs were used in the Game Boy Color game Mowgli's Wild Adventure, released the same year. More surprisingly, this is actually one of the best Game Boy Color games I ever had the pleasure of playing. I'm not even kidding, it's incredibly advanced for a GBC game, so much so that I vastly prefer it to its PlayStation dance game counterpart. I actually wish I were playing this instead of, this. Unfortunately, Bagheera's singing somehow doesn't convince Mowgli to leave the jungle. Man, this kid is tough as nails.
Well, gosh darn it, that didn't work. Anybody got any Barry Manilow?
The following morning, our whiny, petulant little bitch awakes to the sound of elephants. That most soothing of wake-up calls. Here we meet Junior, who we join in a marching dance.
Join the ranks and walk in line. Join the ranks and march in time. There is no game you can win if you don't have discipline.
It's fairly interesting to me that this song replaces the Pachyderm Patrol song from the movie, which was a pretty solid marching song in the first place.
1, 2, 3, 4, dress it up. 2, 3, 4.
Though I have to say, this song will stick in your head for hours, perhaps even days after you've heard it.
Join the ranks and walk in line. Join the ranks and march in time.
Sometimes I found it popped into my head at the most random times.
Join the ranks and walk in line. Join the ranks and march in time. There is no game you can win
If you don't have discipline. What's more, this is the only dance-off where you go head-to-head against two characters, the first being Junior and the second being Colonel Hearty himself.
Here in the Bagheera Patrol,
That's
you
great.
will learn total control.
Throughout the dances, you'll also occasionally be prompted to rapidly tap additional button combinations in addition to the arrow dance sequence. After tapping the combination and activating the following arrow, you'll be granted a power-up.
Point multiplier.
These range from an additional health pour,
Extra paw.
a firewall to catch arrows for a limited time, a double points power-up, and an instant super cool, which sees Mowgli instantly achieve a perfect status.
Instant super cool.
Look, he's sparkling! Woo! The power-ups in both console versions of the game are the same as far as I can tell, although there are certain power-ups that appear more frequently in particular versions.
Extra paw.
For example, the extra paw power-up seems to trigger towards the beginning of almost every level in the PS2 game, whereas in the PS1 game, it only seems to trigger after having lost a health pour already.
Character challenge.
Every character you dance against also has a one-off character challenge to unlock.
Challenge completed.
Well, almost. There are two boss levels that play out a little differently, so we'll get to those later. The main levels otherwise see the characters pose their own unique challenges.
Teeny tiny.
The idea being to tap enough correct arrows to fill the bar to beat them.
Challenge completed.
However, Bagheera's character challenge seems to be incredibly rare, and by that I mean I never once had the opportunity to unlock his challenge, let alone win it. I actually think they perhaps forgot to include it.
It may not be to your taste, but you're going to have to face that the jungle is no place for a boy.
We then move on to one of the most recognisable songs from the Jungle Book. It is, of course, the Bare Necessities.
Look for the bare necessities.
That's great.
The simple bare necessities.
I mean, you should have seen this coming, surely. The song is, in itself, a necessity.
This version is a wee bit different though, in that it adopts more of a 90s/early noughties sound in an attempt to make it seem groovier and more contemporary.
That bring the bare necessities of life.
Although, ironically, I feel this has actually aged worse than the original. In fact, the game itself is so definitively early noughties, a very unique era when this was a totally normal way to spend your time. If you play the main game in team play mode, you can work together to catch the arrows. Should the one player miss an arrow, it will automatically be thrown over to the other player's side to be saved. This is a pretty neat idea, although God forbid you play on expert mode with someone with slow reflexes, or you'll have a workout on your hands.
I mean feet.
Hey! Shortly after boogieing with Baloo, the monkeys kidnap Mowgli, with the intention of taking him to see King Louie. But first, Mowgli needs to show off his moves to the monkeys.
But before we bring you to King Louie, we gotta see if you're cool enough.
And I've gotta say, I think this song is fantastic. It's so unbelievably catchy, and the lyrics aren't bad either, even if the PS1 people don't know how to spell rhythm. Just saying.
Who proofread this? It's in the game title. How do you get that wrong?
In fact, this also raises a good point. These are optional on-screen lyrics that you can toggle on and off in the menu, although unless you're playing on easy mode, you never really have time to read them, so it really makes me wonder why they bothered. The monkeys then take Mowgli to see King Louie.
Let's shake hands, cousin.
Huh?
And this next dance is one of the 2 boss levels I mentioned, and it plays out a little differently to the standard dance marathon.
Alright, falling rocks.
Here you need to activate the Falling Rocks power-up before King Louie does, in order to make him fall 3 times.
I wanna be like you.
I do appreciate that Mowgli's dance animations change depending on who he's dancing with. They could have been really lazy about it and had him perform a generic boogie for every single level, but he often seems to mimic his opponent. But despite this, the moves never really correspond with the buttons on screen.
It's not working.
I also love the accuracy of the lyrics here. I mean, do you expect me to sing along to this? Really? Once King Louie is beaten, he angrily destroys his own temple. Good to see he's gracious in defeat.
All because he lost a poor man's DDR game. The shame of it.
Shortly after this, Mowgli catches a glimpse of the girl from the village, but is swiftly snapped up by Kaa, who not only intends to eat him, but also subjects him to another song.
Can you not just eat me, please?
Kaa's song maintains a sort of Eastern sound, and it's particularly effective in its usage of sultry sitars and an infectious rhythm. That's rhythm, to convey a lulling hypnotic effect.
Point multiplier. You're alive. You're amazing.
It's also interesting to me that this song is in place of Trust in Me.
Trust in me.
When it adopts a somewhat similar sound, albeit a lot more up-tempo. I also love the irony that he could have easily killed me off if he hadn't burst into song in the first place. He's clearly a natural showman.
You just couldn't help yourself, could you, Kaa?
Hey, look down there.
Blimey! He's got hands like a monkey and legs like a stork.
Before long, Mowgli encounters the vultures, and we're treated to Buzzy's song.
Look at the little bag of bones, walking in a jungle
Buzzy's song is a ska-inspired pop-rock bop, and undeniably one of the most groovy.
I mean, you can deny it, I guess, but you're wrong.
It's definitely one of the more upbeat and challenging tracks, and on top of that, it's catchy as hell. However, Buzzy's character challenge has got to be the toughest in the game. Most of this level is absolutely fine, as the arrows descend in a steady stream, but when you unlock Buzzy's challenge, this happens.
Really, I defy you to do better. What the hell is that supposed to do here? River dance?
Honestly, I think I only beat this in easy mode. It's a real mindfuck. Also, I'm not sure if it's just me, but in the PS2 version, the arrows don't seem to be synchronized with the beat. See for yourself. First, here's the PS1 version. And now, here's the PS2. Really? Is it me? Is it my imagination? Either way, since I have absolutely no sense of rhythm, it really makes no difference to the gameplay for me. I'm still just as terrible. This is followed by the brooding atmospheric song Run, a song performed by the inimitable Shere Khan, voiced by the late great Tony J.
Who is, I guess, imitating the original voice of Shere Khan. So when I said inimitable, just forget I said that.
You're amazing! You're fantastic! Alright!
This is your last dance.
It goes without saying that this dance sees Shere Khan finally come face to face with the whiny little man bitch.
I wanna stay in the jungle.
Frankly, I'm rooting for the tiger on this one.
You are impressive. Now I'll show you what kind of enemy I am.
While I do think Jay was a good choice for the role, I do think he lacks the sinister nasal quality of George Sanders.
How delightful.
And oddly enough, this is not the first time a villain voiced by Tony J has serenaded us in front of a fire.
Like fire, hellfire.
Yeah, if Hellfire was Tony J's lead single, this song is definitely more of a B-side.
Totally unbelievable!
My friend, as
You're amazing!
This song may not be anywhere near the standard of Hellfire, but it's decidedly groovier. I can't imagine Hellfire is the general public's go-to for karaoke.
Be mine or you will burn.
Really gets everyone in a party spirit.
Shere Khan's song nonetheless retains plenty of bite.
While you have a chance.
That's great!
As expected, this is the second boss level, the objective being to beat Shere Khan to the power-up to get lightning to strike him.
Alright!
This is
Lightning and fire!
had a little trouble with the fireplace.
This is of course followed by that emotional scene in which it's feared that Baloo has fallen in battle.
Baloo?
But in the PS1 version, the sound effect of the fire burning from the previous level overlaps the cutscene.
Remember, Mowgli, greater love hath no one than he that lays down his life for his friend.
I'd say this kills the mood if it wasn't already butchered by Baloo's unbearably wooden voice acting.
Don't stop now, Baggy. That was beautiful.
Baloo!
Don't want to do that line again, bud. This time with feeling.
Despite the game's short length, I think I'd have been satisfied if Shere Khan's number had been the final song. But the final dance is led by Shanti. The girl Mowgli follows into the man village.
Open up your eyes, stretch your arms
Point
out
multiplier.
wide.
Well, that's incredible!
Set you free.
While this is certainly one of the more low-key twee songs the game has to offer, it's a welcome respite from the previous level's dark tone. It's a pleasant and melodic conclusion to what is a fairly entertaining kids game overall.
That was fine, Mowgli.
My god, what happened to her voice? Might want to lay off the singing for a while, Shanti. You're sounding a bit hoarse.
Okay, so what about the extra features? There's a section of the menu called the Jungle Gallery.
The Jungle Gallery.
Here there's something called Dancing Stage, which lets you see all the characters' various animations based on their performance in-game.
Okay, everybody, let's dance.
Slide, I can soar.
Although why this is a feature I'm really not sure. The animations aren't all that impressive. The Jungle Theatre meanwhile allows you to watch all the cutscenes you've unlocked, and the PS2 game also contains a karaoke option.
Select a karaoke song.
Which basically plays instrumental versions of the songs for you to sing along to. But the most interesting extra here is Lou Bega's bonus.
Hey, King Louie, let's see who's the real king in this jungle.
This is basically a dance challenge in which you take control of King Louie to beat Lou Bega. I never thought I'd say that. I find it interesting that they chose Lou Bega for this. For one thing, the song is much worse than the version heard in the main game.
You're fantastic.
And on top of that, the only Lou Bega song I can think of off the top of my head is Mambo No. 5, which is basically a song about a promiscuous dude who plays the field.
A little bit of Rita's all I need. A little bit of Tina's what I see.
I think we've all heard enough about Lou Bega's bonus.
I'm not sure why they figured he'd be the best guy to guest star in a kids game, but alright. Should you manage to complete the challenge, you unlock an exclusive music video of the exact same song you've just been forced to listen to.
Now, I'm the king of the swingers, oh, the jungle VIP.
That's right, this terrible rendition of this song is your reward, after you've already had to endure it for over 3 minutes.
Nice job, King Louie. You won the challenge. Now sit back and relax while you watch my latest video.
Nah, mate, I'm good, thanks. I think I've heard enough.
There's also Versus Mode, which allows 2 players to go head to head.
Dance sprint.
There's a standard dance marathon, the objective being to be the player with the highest score.
I win!
And there's Power-Up Confrontation Mode, in which you need to beat your opponent in activating the many power-ups throughout the level.
Cities with just the bare necessities of life.
It's actually pretty entertaining, although I'd recommend purchasing a large house beforehand. Really, how big are y'all's bedrooms that you can play with 2 dance mats? I barely have room for 1.
Anyway, enough monkeying around. Despite its shortcomings, is this game still groovy?
You got a high score. Please enter your initials.
Here's the thing, to many of you out there, I may not be experienced enough in dance games to be able to maintain a valid informed opinion.
I mean, that probably goes for most games, to be honest, but moving along.
Even so, as usual, I can provide my own take regardless. For me personally, the dancing, if that's what you call it, leaves more than a little to be desired. Depending on my choice of difficulty mode, I often found the dances either mind-numbingly tedious or far too complex for my thumb to respond to, let alone my feet. But the songs themselves are surprisingly eclectic and of a high standard melodically.
We are the vultures.
I'm not kidding, these songs are fun, and there's not one that's unmemorable.
Set your sights up high in the jungle sky.
Totally unbelievable.
It's a day for you and me.
So it depends on what you're rating this game on. The dancing isn't great, but it can admittedly be a lot of fun with 2 people. It's really not my kind of thing, but it's enjoyable all the same.
I was perfect. I'm the best.
Overall, it's a decent party game, but a bare necessity it is not. Hit it, Papa Bear.
Look for the bare necessity, the simple bare necessity.
Hey everyone, long time no see. For those who aren't aware, this year I've started a new job full time, so it'll mean less time for videos. That said, I wasn't intending to be gone for so long. This video went through a bit of a production hell due to all the footage I needed. The next video might not be quite so elaborate, but knowing me, I'll no doubt get a little carried away. Even so, despite the time it's taken, I hope you enjoyed the video. Some of my regular viewers will know that this particular review has been on my to-do list for a long time, and was actually initially planned for last year. Better late than never, eh? Deleted scenes will be available on my Patreon as usual, and otherwise I'll see you next time. Hope you enjoyed everyone, it's good to be back. Bye bye for now.